actors and producers from the international cinema here. We have with us now Jhett Tolentino, who's a Tony Award winner, who's the producer of the film Lingua Franca. This Lingua Franca is the first movie to be written and directed and acted by a transgender. The movie describes you the story of Olivia, her tryst with a slaughterhouse boy, and how the movie progresses. We have with us Ramazan Nanayev, who is the director of the movie Road to Olympia, which describes the story of Roma, Mono, and Manuel, three athletes fighting against cultural and social discrimination to fight in the Olympics, the Rio de Janeiro Olympics. We have also with us Savas, the director of Heartburst, the movie which portrays the story of Marcus, who is having slight orientation towards pedophilia and how he overcomes it. We have also with us Barnev, who is portraying Pavel in the movie The Father. This is a nice story which deals with post-life communication and the psychology associated with that. Now we have with us Gunavan Marianto, the actor of the movie Science of Fictions, and the producer Arya Shweta, who is among us, which is a movie which deals about fake news, hoaxes related with the moon landings. So they have made a nice movie, a satire kind of. So first, Jhett, this movie by Isabel Sandoval, which you have produced, being the first of many kinds, how do you feel about that?
Okay. Well, it's very groundbreaking film. Again, for those who do not know, the Lingua Franca is the first film in the world to be written and directed by a trans woman, not just any trans woman, but a trans woman of color. It's groundbreaking in the sense that we're not just for the LGBTQ rights. If you're familiar with the political atmosphere in the United States with the current government, so we're also defying that. So all throughout the films, we were showing how immigration is in a very precarious situation, and also there's the ageism, how we take care of our elders. So it's Russian, it's Filipino, and American story put into one.
Okay. Roads to Olympia is one movie in which we can easily relate with how we fight cultural oppression, gender discrimination to come to the top of the world. So what motivated you and your Beacon Foundation to come up with such a movie? Can you please elaborate on that?
Sure. Road to Olympia is a very personal story. It was inspired by my experiences as an athlete, but also by those who are very close to me. It was my dream to be an Olympian. But in high school, my senior year, when I was ready to go to college and compete at the higher level, I've learned that I was an undocumented immigrant living in the United States. And most of the scholarships and grants that I received, I couldn't accept because of it. So that led me to drop out of college and indirectly brought my athletic career to an end. So at that point, I concentrated on my filmmaking career, and I decided to tell a story of athletes who wanted to make it to the next level of competition, but the competition wasn't their biggest obstacle. It was the things that they dealt with on a cultural, societal, and socioeconomic level. And in the film, each story was inspired by, the Russian story was inspired by my best friend who was a gay closeted athlete, and I've seen he struggled to come into terms with his sexual identity. I was born into a Muslim family, and have seen how my sister was treated differently than that was. So that inspired the Saudi story. And in Brazil, Afro-Brazilian character is trying to get his mother out of poverty. And that story was inspired by my upbringing in Russia. My parents lost their jobs after Reconstruction and never really recovered. So I grew up in a community where kids didn't have much access to opportunity.
Also, the CEO of Beacon Revolt.
Yes.
So, can we know more about that?
Sure. Beacon Revolt is a production house that produces impact-driven films, where we're not only trying to make films to entertain our audiences, but also use the films as a way to support NGOs that are doing amazing work and tackling social injustices and inequalities around the world. So Olympia is a perfect example of such film where we want to use it as a call to action and tie it to a social good campaign that will be released at the same time as the film early next year.
Okay, great. Thank you for the information. Hello, Mr. Ceviz. Your movie which deals with life after life apparition. In fact, that's the name of another movie that you have done. So can we know more about your movie, Father?
Sorry, I don't have to explain my movie, or because
the concept behind it.
yeah, if you ask me what motivated me, it's yeah, I like doing movies about our outstanding characters, outsiders, and so we have this topic about a pedophile, in a lot of movies, but we know exactly then who is the good guy and who is the bad guy, and I wanted to make a movie about a pedophile from his perspective, and to show a human being.
So Marcus, after a life of being an architect, he slowly recrystallizes himself into a sexual offender, or is it part of a normal psychological evolution?
I didn't get this.
The main protagonist of your movie, Marcus, right?
Yes.
How he transitions from his life as an architect to a person who involves in pedophile.
There's no transition. That's what the movie shows, because it's given. It's naturally given, and no one can do anything about it. And that's one of the main things of the goals of the movie, to show that in a dramatic way, because for example, I'm lucky that I'm not a pedophile, but I'm not, I have nothing done about it that I'm heterosexual. And I think anyone, no one has a decision in his life to say, oh, I want to be homosexual, I want to be heterosexual, or I want to be pedophile. And you don't have this decision in your life. You're just...
That's true. Yeah. We have one more guest on the dais now, Yangshik Tso, the actress of the movie The Balloon, which is done in the backdrop of the serene Tibetan landscape. How a simple contraceptive device takes the pregnancy through many embarrassing scenes in the movie. We now have with us Mr. Barnev, if I'm pronouncing that correct.
Yeah.
Barnev. So you have portrayed Pavel. Can we hear about your experience in the movie, how you have done that role, which has got paranormal elements to it? The storyline contains paranormal elements in which an afterlife, a phone call, these things are introduced. So, can you share the experience?
Okay. This movie is I'm acting, just acting, not creating the script. The script is written from both directors. They are a couple, Kristina Grozova and Petr Volchanov. Actually, they are their previous movies are made from articles from the newspaper. For example, the first one, The Lesson, is the article called A Teacher Robbed a Bank. The second one is Railway Worker found a 2 million lever, it's about 1 million euros, and returned it back to the state. He's a poor man, of course. And this, the father, is not part of the trilogy. It's based on a story that happened to one of the directors when his mother died. Exactly, maybe one day or maybe during the funeral, there was a phone call from the phone of the mother that was calling to neighbor, and of course it's in the mood that they cannot think about anything about that, but after that they start to imagine what she was trying, maybe. Of course, there is a rational explanation of that. It's a voicemail, of course. But what if she wants to connect with them? What does she want to tell him? Okay, this is the beginning of the story, but if the other two movies are more social, this movie, they wanted to do more connected to family, more in a humanic way. How we, different generations, lost the connection between us and our parents. Why is that? When we lose that connection, and this movie, of course, could be very sad, but they were trying to, because their previous movie wasn't comedies, of course, and that's why they tried to do that movie with the elements of comedy, if I can say.
Thank you so much. In the movie Science of Fictions, Sima, the main protagonist, portrayed by Gunawan Marianto, unwittingly sees a filming of moon landing in Indonesia, and it takes a satire course which is related to fake news. At that time, it was one part of the world completely disbelieved that man had landed on moon. So how you relate, this question is both to the actor and the producer, how you relate the fake news that is happening in the current era related to that era? How do you relate it to the movie?
Okay, thank you. The moon landing, I think, only a trigger for our movie. Our movie is a story about Simon, the character who cannot speak up about the truth because his tongue is cut it because he saw the moon landing film making. So this is related with the about social politics in Indonesia during Soeharto era, when we as people cannot speak up about anything because our tongue is cut by government, and many things happen since 60 because massacre in Indonesia, communist many communist party in Indonesia is jailed, kidnapped, and then killed by government. Maybe in 2 million people is killed at that time. So this movie about silence, about how Siman as people try to speak up with his body to tell the story or tell the truth. Okay, thank you.
We have with us Yangshik Tso, actress known for Tarlo, movies Tarlo, Balloon, Chain Breakers, while at International Film Festival of India. Can you please share your experience of the movie?
Nyanyong zina da choagi nyanyong da zuzri dina nga rani loni gang ina loni machi gong na di choagi nyanyong da dilan iju horna datang loni gang wal dina ngi ani jumu ji chawa di gomba songi ni gomba ni nima mozi di jumu chugu choagi nyanyong di
As I do with most of my roles, before we started filming, I did some research, and in this case, in Balloon, I was playing a nun. So in preparation for this film, I spent a lot of time in local nunnery and got to understand the sort of daily life and rhythms of life in a nunnery and as a nun.
Thank you so much. The largest science experiment that has ever conducted in this planet, CERN. A movie based on that CERN. We have the producer of the movie, Estelle Fialon. The movie name is Particle. So what prompted you to create such a great movie, which is related with science, ecosystem, and the relation between both? Can you give a brief about your movie here for us?
Hello. Yes, it's the first feature film from the director Blaise Harrison. I produced his two previous films, which were documentaries. So in Blaise Harrison's spirits, there is the will to melt documentary and fiction. And I think for this movie particularly, he was very much inspired by his own experience and memories from his teenagehood. The film is filmed in the region where he grew up, so it's very much inspired by his memories. And I think he wanted to make a film about this special age, it's really a coming of age film about teenagehood, but he wanted to tell this story in a very metaphorical way. So I think the connection he makes between what's his character experiences at his age and the experiments made by the scientists underground in this huge particles accelerator, which is hidden and which you don't see on the surface, but which creates a lot of fears and also imagination. So it's a kind of link he creates between the spirit of the teenage age and the bigger questions about the origin of the universe. So it's a film that you can read with a scientific logic, just to imagine that maybe there are other worlds we don't see, we don't know, parallel universe. But it's also a romantic movie because it's also a love story where it's also about meeting someone and maybe disappearing in love with this person. It's also a kind of more how do I say metaphorical thing about the metaphysical film, but how we are part of a bigger universe. So that's what I can say about the film.
Thank you. We have two producers here with scientific movies. 2019 being the 50th year of the moon landing, we have one producer and actor which have come with a movie on moon landings related with fake news. With your permission, I would like to play a small clip which shows that moon landing was not fake. I'll show you the real clipping of the Apollo 11 rocket launch after 50 years. Please turn off the lights. These are the real clippings.
9. We have ignition sequence start. Engines are on. 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Sideways shaking was unbelievable. The vibration was so intense you couldn't see the instrument panel. We have cleared the tower. I thought we'd had it during launch. I was hoping that Frank Borman didn't have his hand on the abort controller. He said he took his hand off and he'd rather die than make a false abort. 1 minute after liftoff, the Saturn V is already supersonic.
Well, the Saturn V is still the most powerful machine that man has ever devised. 20 tons of fuel a second, 7.5 million pounds of thrust. I think we were all surprised at how strong that thing was. It had 2 or 3 IFFI missions before ours, but it was a piece of cake. It just worked beautifully. Unbelievable.
5 engines in the first stage blast the Saturn V to 7 times the speed of sound. The second stage cut in. Big bang. At 40 miles high, it's still accelerating.
When you staged, you were thrown forward in the belts and then backward in the belts.
And I thought I was being catapulted through the instrument panel.
All sources show that the stage is burning perfectly.
The third stage fires twice. First, the boost into orbit. The second burn takes the crew of Apollo 8 where no men have ever been. Deep.
To date, this is the most powerful thing that humans have ever made. At 7.8 million pounds of thrust, only the Space Shuttle and the Falcon Heavy comes closer. We won't create something like that just for filming, do we? Now the floor is open for questions. Please.
The question is for Mr. Tolentino. What are the challenges that you had to go through in making the film, and how has the response varied from festival to festival that you have showcased your film?
Yeah. Before I answer the question, thank you, by the way. I'd like to give you a background on Isabel Sandoval and how she got to this point. So Isabel Sandoval used to be Vincent Sandoval. Vincent wrote 2 films in the Philippines, Señorita, which premiered in Locarno, together with the producer Darlene here. And the second, Vincent did Aparición, which premiered in Busan. And when Aparición was pirated in the Philippines, she was heartbroken. Well, Vincent was heartbroken, left for the United States and took his master's at NYU. She actually graduated cum laude, summa cum laude, back in the Philippines. And she transitioned, Isabel transitioned, so it took her some time to write because she got her master's from NYU and then she had to write Lingua Franca. She finished writing Lingua Franca just before the election of Donald Trump. And at that time, she actually said, there's no way that I can do this film because Donald Trump does not support the LGBTQ. He wanted the trans people out of the military. So it was us producers who pushed her that it's actually timely for us to do the film. And, 2 years down the road, we finally did it. And now it's election year again next year in the United States. And it's since our world premiere in Venice last September, we've gone to Hamburg, Busan, BFI London. We were nominated for Best Film. To Manila, to Copenhagen, to Thessaloniki, to Rocklo, to Cork, to San Diego, to Hawaii, and then our U.S. premiere was in AFI Fest in Hollywood, and here. So it's an overwhelming support because, again, the film is multifaceted, not just, as I mentioned earlier, just for immigration, but for the trans community. And there's also the aging of immigrants. Lingua Franca, as it means, is actually a bridge language between two speakers. But with the film, it's actually a matter of what's not spoken. Because Isabel concentrates on not the heavy political side of the film, but also she made a film with lyricism and poetry. If you've seen it, it's a slow cinema, but it's what you can see, not what you can hear or what's said, between a love story of this homophobic Russian immigrant who fell in love with a trans woman, and he didn't know that she was trans. And so far, the challenge was only when it's the political side of it, that Isabel felt that it wasn't the right timing to make the film. But the reception in every festival has been overwhelming, and we just won Best Film last night in Paris. Wow. Thank you.
Hi, this is Alfie for All India Radio. Ivan Barnev, I'm sure you've been told that Daniel Craig looks like you. Yeah. Okay. So. So my question is to all the three actors. How do you say yes to a role? Is it based on the script? Is it because of the name of the director? Or is it the length of your role that helps you to make your choice?
Okay. Actually, I knew that these directors before because we worked together and we know each other very well. They knew all my works before, and the work, of course, to the other guy, older guy, brilliant actor, Ivan Savov, the same name, Ivan, and they knew that we are kind of friends, and we have some kind of relationships like friends, maybe not so close friends, but I mean like actors friends, and they, I can say that I'm proud that I was chosen without audition. They just say, okay, you will play the son, and Ivan will play the father. And of course, when I read the script, I liked it very much. It was touching. A lot of things after that, not so many, but change after the editing, of course. But still, just when I read the script was brilliant, really touching. I was crying after that. I mean, during the reading, I was just have one question. I said, "Who is the father? Please tell me." And of course, very clever answer of the directors. They said to me, "You are the father," and they said to him, "You are the father. Don't worry." Because at the end of the movie, I said I will become a father. So no, I will return back. It's honor to work with them because their they leave your acting in. They leave a lot of space of free improvisations. For example, I cannot say that it's improv, but the sequence that I realized when I stopped his car, I realized that I'm with slippers. It wasn't on the script, that I'm just without my shoes. And we shot it, and of course we continued to the other sequences. But I realized that I'm with slippers. I said, please, we have to shoot something that, because when we watch the shot, it's they say, okay, continue with sleepers. And I say, but it's the beginning of the story. I have woods, I have driving, I have a lot of things to do. No, please continue with sleepers. So I think this is just one example how they just follow the life events of the things. And I cannot say that I was preparing a lot of for the role, because I know my father. I mean, I know the other actor. I knew that he's brilliant actor, and the other side he's a crazy guy. They use it very well. I mean, crazy guys in a good way. And without preparation, I mean, because you cannot prepare for that role. I mean, you just start to maybe just during the acting, I would start to realize what is my relationship to my mother and father. I start to think about it's the opposite. Actually, my relationships with my father and my mother are great. They are they live now. They live in Bulgaria and different city. But the opposite, I just start to think what I will miss when they go away. So that kind of things and thoughts.
Okay, thank you for the question. This is my second movie with my director, Anggi Nun, Joseph Anggi Nun. And I love his movie because always poetic and political. And actually, I'm not a movie actor. I'm a stage actor from theater. I'm theater director and a poet. My first movie with Anggi Nun is about a missing poet in Indonesia during Soeharto's era, and I very love with his story, his perspective about that. And then this in my second movie with Anggi Nun, he give me more space, and for me, Anggi give me some maybe similar with stage. I have as an actor, I have more freedom to move, and because in this the science fiction, I have no line all the movie, so I use my body to communicate my feeling, my opinion about the story. I think it's challenging for me as an actor, and me and Anggi also have a long connection because we come from same faculty in Yogyakarta, Gajah Mada University, in Social Politics faculty. Thank you.
nga joni tsunina tomar ngi cheli lemare Tini nge nga chatumba mare nge cheli yang ti jela jongo chechu bare. Tigi jongni la chunjina chejung da di mana di jilun chungzyo na da tsuri. Ji jindai na horna di mana de shawa da mana di tsuwa ge kori di nga jilun chembuz menangi chekme. Tini da horna ngi ranga chegonu di datang gelonin di chechu badangini tang simbare. Tang niwa da tang simba da nanonji no da doziri. Di na kogu chajong di totong uti di mana de shig ziwa da jilun chenbuzi yukitigi dayang chajong wa sanlu dang dayang ranga tsuwa ge shig nyanyong yosu sachari digi danayin.
Yangshik Tso was mentioning how she was trained not as an actress, but she was trained as a performer and singer in traditional Tibetan music. And if she were to use this film as an example, Bema Teden, the director of Balloon, is an acclaimed director. She's been working with him for many years now. It's her third film with him. She made Silent Money Stones, and more recently Tarlo with the same director. And she says when she picks her roles, she reads the scripts and she looks for some sort of emotional connection with the character. And Bema then scripts, the characters always appeal to her. And for example, the character of the nun in Balloon is one that she fell in love with immediately.
Sir, my question, I'm Suresh Kumar here, and my question is to you, sir. Yeah, you told me you were a stage actor and then moved on to film. How easy is it to, and what adaptations do you require to move from a stage actor to a film actor? They say it is easy, because acting in stages are difficult and more hard work than acting in a screen, because you can cut short and
I think, yeah, for me it's same, the basic is same. I use my body, my vocal to express my emotion, but maybe the differences is about stage and camera. That is, I try to find maybe some similarity with stage and movie, but all I think is very similar. I just try to find a way to manage and to manage my feeling and emotion. Yeah, thank you.
Question to the directors. This is, I'm sure, has been asked of you before. In a realistic sense, what matters more, critical acclaim, awards, or commercial success?
I think the most of the directors are really interested in both. But I don't think that's the goal. For me, it's not the goal. You know, I just wanted to make a story that I think and I found it's very interesting, and I wanted to find out more about this character also. And then at the end, if there comes out awards and commercial success, that's fine, but that's not the motivation.
I would say that the most important thing for me is to connect with the audience, create a meaningful connection where audience can empathize and relate to the characters and kind of see themselves in those shoes. When that happens, I think the rest takes place anyway.
Just a follow-up question to you, sir. You are training to be an Olympian. I'm sure it's cinema's gain and the Olympics loss that you are now pursuing your career. But the preparations that you made as an athlete, how has that in any way helped you or influenced what you are doing now?
Certainly. So I used to say in high school and college that wrestling was the hardest thing that I've ever done, physically and mentally and spiritually. And then I started making films, and I realized that this is even harder. And it's a marathon. Yeah, it's not a sprint, and you really have to take care of your mental health, your physical health, and the preparations, the hard work, commitment, teamwork, high stakes that were kind of involved in sports carried over. There's definitely many parallels within the two worlds.
Any more questions?
Hi, my name is Nanoshka. This question is to Mr. Ceviz. Have I pronounced that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
More or less.
Okay. So you passed a very unique comment saying that pedophilia is not a choice. You know, you connected it, you compared it to homophobia and all those things. So it's not a subject that is very open. It's not a subject that is accepted, especially with this mentality that it is not something, you know, you said it's not a choice. You're born like that. What was the reaction of the audience all over the world to a film such as this?
Yes, it's very interesting. You know, I mean, just to say it again, it's the character in my movie. It's an architect and who is up to young boys, and he likes young boys, but he hates himself for it. He tortures himself, and he doesn't want it. But there's nothing he can do against it, and that's the story of the movie. And I don't know why, but you know, all over the world, the audience is very interested in this movie. They're accepted. They are really. I had great Q&As and was good critics, and so I'm happy about it. I thought really there would be much more wind against this movie, but until now, it's running good. And a lot of people, to be honest, after the festivals, they come to me and they are really thankful that this topic is shown in a movie, because they think it's very important. It hasn't been done like this before, so that makes me happy, of course.
I think we'll wind up the press conference with a group photo. नीचे आ जाएंगे